Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Time to give Panther some love. I got the S70 dipstick here, and I have the old dipstick so I can measure the end of it, how it sticks through, how the reading would probably be, correct that if necessary. Might do the turbo, not sold on that just yet. I need to paint the wheels or touch them up, something. These things look horrible. I don't know if I have the paint here. I think I do. The rear ABS wire harness is busted. I've been dragging this cable around, oh man, for probably about 3,000 miles. I won't be doing that anymore because I got a new sensor kit that I can replace that with. So I got most of the back of the car cleaned out. I also have an ABS error code that is the booster plunger, I believe. Now I don't know if this is a good one, but this is one I got to replace that. I'm not even sure if it's the same part number, but this is what I'm going to put in there, see if it fixes it. And if not, I'll find the proper one. So, that's what I got going on with Panther. I'm going to go ahead, jack it up, put on jack stands, pull the rear wheels off of it, and then do the sensors. I'm going to do that first. In this video, I'm going to be replacing the ABS sensor set for the rear of the front wheel drive P80 cars, 850 SV70s. Probably from 92 all the way back to 98. This will also work for the other ones with the rear sensor harness, but this harness is actually broke. You can see the wire hanging. I've been driving with that wire hanging down for probably about 2,000-3,000 miles at least. But today's the day I'm gonna fix it. So the first thing you want to do is clear out the back. Second thing you want to do is to remove the flooring. Lift this up, lift this out. Lift out the side panels. I normally jerk them up from here. Get those out of the way, both sides. Then I lift this up and unbolt it. Then I'll have access to the wire harness, and you also see the fuel pump wire harness there. So let me go ahead and remove those two 10 millimeters from that side, two from that side. Slide this back towards me and lift it up and out of there. I have the floor out. That yellow wire harness is the plug for the sensors. Next, I'm going to undo those 5 screws. That will give me access to feed the wire harness through the floor and to the wheel sensors. I'm pretty sure Panther has the fuel leak with that fuel hose. So I'm going to take that other panel open as well. See if I need to drill the hole in the floor so that I can get to that fuel line as well. I think I have that fuel line. I might not. I have the panel off. Now it's time to raise the back of the car and pull those 2 wheels off. For some reason, I cannot get my VST to connect to this car and read anything. No ABS, couldn't reset the service light, couldn't read the climate control, any of that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and use the OBD1 port, read these codes, and go from there. About a year ago, maybe a year and a half, I replaced this whole rear end section. And I remember clipping this in here, and I'm not sure why the wire broke, but somehow it broke, and it's hanging down. I'm going to try to see if I can get that T30 screw out and get the sensor out without taking the wheel off. Well, how about that? The first T30 came out fine on the driver's side. There it is there. Let's see if the one will come out the passenger side. And the second one came out. Not having stuff rusted out is great. So let me see if I could maneuver these sensors out. I guess it would be a good idea to check the ones I have in my box to make sure they're proper. Now for the fun part, we're going to try to put something in between this rear knuckle assembly and this sensor to see if we can get it to come out. May have to pry it a little bit. I'd be shocked if it just comes out. May have to take the wheel off and beat it out. We'll see what happens. But maybe it's rust free enough that it'll come. So I pried under it and was massaging it out. Didn't seem to be coming out. Then I pried between the edge of the sensor where the screw goes and that knuckle assembly and massaged it and was working it until I put a lot of pressure on it and I got it to turn. So now I'm going to put the little pry bar back under it and see if I can get it to come out here. Kind of turning it back and forth. So I'm going to work on it, see if I can get it to come out. Let me try to twist it a little more. Alright, let me massage this thing, see if I can get it out. I'll come back in a minute. I'm going to put some pliers on it and try to twist and turn it out with some pliers or vice grips or something like that. Seems to be coming out, but not all the way. I'm going to keep working at it. Probably would be easier with the wheel off. Putting the pry bar on the front side and the screwdriver on the other side. That sensor came out pretty easy. So make sure you put it in right. And I guess there's a right and a left. I'm sure there is. That's how that harness goes over and up through the floor. So let me go here. Oh, this in a little clip there. Then it goes up over the tank and over the floor. So let me unclip this stuff. Get the wheel off the other side. Get the sensor off the other side. Sensors are very different. But it's got to fit in the hole. It's got to stop the dirt from getting in there. And they need to be the same depth from this mating surface. When I put them side by side, they appear to be the same height. So I'm going to go ahead and see if this one will slide in the driver's side. The length of the cable is not that much different. About 1.5 feet, but from the center of the car, that's about 1.5 feet over. So let's go ahead and measure the length of the sensor. Yeah, it's about 1.5 feet. Let me see if this fits in this side. The hole doesn't come through unless you pull the rotor off and the hub off. So I'm going to poke a brush in there, try to clean out any debris in that hole, because there may be a lot because of the way that other sensor was shaped. I'm also going to spray in there with some brake parts cleaner. Let me see if I can find my little wire brush. I have a round wire brush. Came down here and cut off these sensor wires right here, both wires. Then I took the plug from the new wire and I used some Gorilla Tape and taped it to those two wires that I twisted around the plug and taped to the plug. Then I ran it up there as best I could and got it to where the clip goes to go around some of those fuel lines to get on top of the tank. Then I loosened the clip that holds the wires and the fuel lines and the vacuum lines. Then I came up here and pulled the slack out of the ABS line. Then I went back underneath and forced the wire past the fuel lines to get to the top side of the tank. Now I'm trying to pull these old wires and that connection up here this way. Hopefully it'll come up, which it should. Alright, I feel like I'm stuck, so I'm gonna go give it some slack from the bottom. But that connector, just trying to avoid dropping the tank. Dropping the tank a little bit is easier, but I had a bad issue with my tank being dropped. Hold on a second, I thought I saw the wire connection there. That looks like it. Yeah, that's the block there. I don't think I'm going to reach it. I'm going to try to push some slack up from the bottom. I'm going to have to drop the tank because there's another securing strap for the fuel lines and the wire harness right there. You can see the end of that tab. I got to get that free, put that harness on the other side of that, and then put the tank back up. I have very little gas in the tank. However, I have a bad strap securing thing on there, so I may have issues. Let's see what happens. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to drop the tank to get that wire harness through there properly. And I'm not real big on dropping fuel tanks 2 and 3 times. And this hose right here is leaking. As you can see, it's wet there. It's got a crack in it somewhere. So I need to get a hose for that as well. So I'm going to drop this tank once instead of twice. I'm going to wrap this up for now. I'm going to secure those sensors to the suspension so I can go pick up that part, drop this car on the ground. Next thing I'm going to do is clean out that hole. See, it's got a little dirt and rust in it, so the new sensor slide in there fine. Then I'm going to separate the long cord from the short cord and run the long one over to the driver's side, the short one over to the passenger side, and I'm gonna put it in all of these clips that it's supposed to be in so it'll be secure and not have any possibility of being damaged. Next up, replacing this oil dipstick. This thing just goes around and around and around, and it seems to be spraying oil all over my car. So I'm going to change this dipstick with the one I got out of an F70. I'm going to measure it for its depth and then install it. Here's the dipstick. It's got some funny curves in it, but it looks like the mount's going to be similar. And it'll go down in the oil pan and stop there. So it looks like the low level is about the same. But the full level on the replacement dipstick is about 1/4 inch high. So the full mark will be 2 exits down. Let me take off the flash, maybe that'll help. So the new flat dipstick has exits on it. And from the minimum mark to the full mark on the old dipstick, it's about 1.5 X to the full mark. So I'll just remember that 1.5 X is full. I could put a mark on there if I want, but I'm not going to worry about it. I got a halfway decent memory. And when I forget, I'll just overfill it. So here's the original dipstick on top, the replacement dipstick on the bottom. And there's my replacement stick. Man, this phone does not do zooming good. I am at the bottom of the second set of X's, which is perfect. That's where I'm going to leave it. And this stick is nice and stiff. I'm going to go clean out this engine area soon and see if I have any other kind of oil leak, because all this oil I got around in here, I think is from this dipstick blowing around and blowing out with the boost. Okay, I already torqued my wheels down. I'm going to move this car out of here for the night so Gilbert can get his car back in here and clean up my mess a little bit and call it a night. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.